Good morning from the wandering lands around Creative Rootz. And here we have Bear and Batty ahead of me and Elsa as we head towards the strange roundabout thingy that we told you about yesterday or last night. Oh, I felt a spot of rain. It did rain a little last night. Most of Portugal's got weather warnings today, but it's all good. And we're looking forward to a day of being and enjoying pleasant food and company of me and the dogs and the chickens. Last night the chickens had put themselves in bed, all apart from one who was crying. And she wandered over to me. And I was like, what's the matter? And I realised the others had worked out how to get in and she hadn't. But that's okay. Maybe today's her day. And maybe it's not. But the other two, were super proud of them for their achievement. And I'm super proud of that one for coming over to me, having a word and getting a lift up. You know, so I'm very happy about that. It's a beautiful wander up here. I can see the Portuguese mountains all across on the right hand side. We're in the opposite direction of the Spanish mountains now, so we won't see them on a clear day. But what you can see is the wiggly roundabout of all strange things in the centre of the path. A mini roundabout. And Portugal, for those who don't know, is the country I've been in with the most funky roundabouts. So everywhere in Portugal there is funky roundabouts that are well kept and decorated. And this one, maybe I'll decorate it at some point, but this is where it is. Oh, I guess the dogs want to go that way. As you can see, it's a beautiful 1st of January day. And the sun's just coming up. And we look forward to the rest of it. I'll catch you later. It was raining, so they've had breakfast here. Well, Bear at breakfast. Elsa's kind of had some of her breakfast. Batty's had his meat because he doesn't like his biscuits. But yeah, his meat, didn't you, Mr. B? And now they're just chilling out after the breakfast. The chickens, I forgot to take the phone over, but I let them out. One of them flew on top of the door. So that was cool. I was like, what are you doing there then? Then one of them followed me, tried to follow me out. And I said, come on, go and eat your breakfast. So they're all happy this morning. Thankfully, it doesn't look like the bear chase was left any negative effect. So it's just bit by bit introducing the dogs to the chickens. Last night was an awesome night. No fireworks, no noise. Slept right through, which was a blessing. And I'm off now to get my cup of tea. Well, it's a quiet, chilled out morning. All 4 of us are just snoozing. I don't know if you can hear Mr. Bear snoring his head off down there. Batty's snuggled in my armpit. There's a gentle pitter-patter of rain outside. It's a little bit cold, so I've got my blanket. And I'm just sitting with things, and particularly desire, the wanting, the noticing that I want, the acknowledgement and accepting that there are things that I want, and sitting with those things that I feel that I want, and trying to think out, well, I have this desire, this lust for connection with others. And I've been feeling into that. And behind all of it is this desire to feel less lonely, safer, more secure, and at home. And when I say at home, I mean, because obviously I am home, you know, in home as society calls home, but at home in my beingness, I have this desire to feel closer to God, in that feeling of being so comfortable and so safe and so secure, like an unborn child in the womb, where they just are, and all their needs, everything is met, and all is perfect. And as I lie here, and I know that all is perfect, and I'm observing what's rising and falling, and the desires, and just watching them just come up, and sit with them and watch them as they develop, and try not to get caught in that, where that desire takes you, you know. And sometimes I do, and I do sit there with that, and I do, and it's like a magic carpet ride into some crazy made up fantasy of shit that might never ever happen, of potential future things that, you know, you think, where on earth does all this come from? And some of it takes you back into past memories of people and places and things, and all those memories of pleasure, and you feel a pull and a desire for what was, and you feel this desire and yearning for something that might never or could never be. And it's all just fantasies. It's all just so surreal. And this is what ego does. This is the part of us that is the I. This is self-identification, where it's saying, it's driving you to want more, to search for things that they're not even necessary. You know, we don't need all sorts of things to fly. We don't need these things to get by. We don't need these things for happiness. Because when you sit with these things that show up, sure, it was pleasurable, but it's short-lived. The pleasure comes and goes, comes and goes, comes and goes, rises and falls. And true pleasure, the bliss that you can feel from a flower, doesn't go. Sitting in nature, you go and you sit in nature, short of it rising and falling and you thinking, well, I'm really a bit wet now, or, you know, but it doesn't, it doesn't have the great highs and lows that the sensory, like the average sensory pleasure does. Like the joy of a cup of tea. You get the cup of tea, you're enjoying the cup of tea. After the cup of tea, you're like, yeah. And then the cup of tea's over, and then that pleasure's gone, and maybe you want another cup of tea, you know. And the pleasure you get when you see people that you love, or you hear the voice, and it's so cool, and it's such a beautiful thing in that moment. And your heart's singing, and then it ends, and life is so many cycles. So many cycles, you know. We have so much comings and goings, so many things transition in a day, you know. Our meals, a walk, a moment of joy with the dogs, a moment of joy with the chickens, sitting doing something. Everything starts off and passes. Everything passes. This too shall pass. As with all our desires, our addictions, all our yearnings, all our wantings, everything that is, it passes. And as you sit with an addiction, whatever that addiction may be, whatever that thing is, that pull to something that's really pulling you in. Maybe you want another smoke, or maybe you want to have sex, or maybe you want a cup of tea, or maybe you want to like contact someone, or, you know, maybe you want to eat copious amounts of chocolate, and all these marvelous things that we get intense pleasure from. One moment passes, and then what's left? The memory of the pleasure. It's so impermanent. Everything is so impermanent. Life, everything is so impermanent. So I'm sitting with desires, and I'm sitting with pondering if it's possible for me to become less attached to the desires, and to be able to find a way through, because life can be what you make it. It's about consciously creating change. It's about, you know, while we're wanting something, we're not happy with the now. We're not happy with the right now. While I'm fantasizing about something that hasn't happened, or that remembering fantasies of what has happened in the past, I'm missing this moment. Like, it's you know, I'm not here in the moment and enjoying the snore of the bear, or the snuffles of the batty, or the little clucks of the chickens, and the tweets of the birds. And I'm going in between the fantasies, and noticing the fantasies, to hearing, being in the moment, to then going off again. And it's quite a strange thing to be doing. But it's also very educational. I'm learning more about myself and feeling into things more, and yeah. So I'm hoping that I can learn to be in the moment more, and be more present than ever before, and more mindful than ever before. That's my intention today, to get out and of my desires, to notice and maybe be with enough for me to notice them and why they're there, and then to be able to just be and return to the moment. And the more I notice, the more I'm aware, the more that I can come back to the now. It is funny. It's a funny little observation game, I suppose. So that's where I'm at the moment. I shall return to the ping pong of listening to the birds and the bear, and noticing where my fantasies begin, and seeing what I can let go of to really fully be in the moment. We're just going to have a little wander up the top of the land. So, walking past the teepee. Come on. And a pear tree. To the compost toilet. Hopefully it'll be the outdoor bathroom. We're now turning the orange tree. Walking past the dog bed. And coming all the way up. Should we go this way, Mr. Bear? Yeah. Through all the olive trees, don't we? Yeah. Come on then. Come on. Looking over the back. Checking on the ladies. Sat in there, snuggled up, which is beautiful. You alright? Yeah. So yesterday I wanted to build a sand pit for Bear, so we put a load of sand in where he's been digging, so that he'd know that he could have his own digging spot. And he dug everything out to reclaim his pit and threw sand everywhere. But at least he knows that that's his sand spot, even if it is his well, it's his mess, but he likes it, so there you go. It's just for Mr. Bear, isn't it, Mr. Bear? Huh? Got your own sand pit, haven't you? Eh? After some thought this morning, I've decided that I'm going to have a week off the internet. Now, that's not really the best thing ever for you guys who like to see me every day. And I want to say I'm sorry but not sorry, because sometimes things are really important and it's finding a balance. And I do, like to go on the internet, but and I do like to record everything, but I really want some time to just be, and just being means that instead of like breaking up the day and making up little videos and doing that at the end of the day, I want to see what life's like without videos, without recording things, without going on Facebook, without Instagram, Instagram and things like that. I want to see what a week's like without going there, really. I feel like it's something that's needed for the highest good. So that's what I'm going to do. So after today, I will see you in a week's time. It'll give you a chance to catch up anyway, see where we're at. So I'm not sure quite what day it is, but I know what date it is. So I should be back on the 7th of January. And I'm fine, so don't be worrying about anything. And people can still get me through the normal ways, but I'm just gonna have time without, and it's healthy to have time without the internet. It's just that we're so used to it, but it's another almost addiction, and that I can take it or leave it. I'm choosing to actually consciously leave it for a week. So I'll see thee all in hopefully 7 days on the 7th.